Today on Why I Kept It, the Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep is a game that holds a really interesting place in this hobby. It's a Dungeons & Dragons game, but it's actually a Euro strategy game. You know, think of it as a D&D identity crisis, but one that you can use to your advantage. I'll start off by saying I've had a lot of people who I didn't think were compatible with Euro games, or more importantly, they didn't think they were compatible, come upon a D&D game and actually fall in love with it and fall in love with the concept of Euro games. It's also a really good app version if you need to even make the process a little bit easier. Get them in playing some, turn-by-turn, play-by-email type games. But let me talk to you a little bit more about what Lords of Waterdeep actually entails, what kind of gameplay it has. Like I said, it's Euro strategy, so there's worker placement involved in this one. But it's more of a, I'd say, tactical versus strategic play you're going to be seeing in Lords of Waterdeep. You've got a limited number of worker placement spots, but the crux of the game is selecting buildings, spending resources, and the resources are like party adventurers, like rogues and warriors and clerics, sending them out there to build buildings that will give more and more options for worker placement. And when your opponent uses your building, you get a kickback. So there's a little bit of engine building, but it's really mostly because of the limited spaces. You're going to be filling up almost the entire board every turn. Much more tactical, jockeying for position between what spaces does my opponent want and which ones am I going to go out there and take. Now, I've had a lot of fun playing Lords of Waterdeep. Like I said, I've played it with a lot of friends that I don't get to play other Euro games with. I also am proudly wearing my PAX South 2016 Tournament Champion medal. I don't win a lot of tournaments outright. I'm the second place champion of the world. But I did finally get a PAX medal. I earned one by doing this at South 2016. It's not exactly the greatest tournament game. It's a pretty good one. Like, I'd say generally any worker placement would make for a good tournament. But Lords of Waterdeep does have some element of, screw your neighbor. You can have quest cards, which are generally how you score points in this game. You're building the engine of the buildings and worker placement spaces, but those resources get put into set collection cards. You're fulfilling contracts to go out on D&D quests. But you can interrupt that entire flow for someone by playing what's called mandatory quest cards out of your hand. And they will just derail the other player, force a turn or two where they will have to then complete that set of resource collection before they can go on and do their major point scoring. So, yeah, it's not always the greatest thing to see in a tournament, but I'm willing to overlook that for what is pretty much an introductory Euro strategy game. There's one other thing to note about Lords of Waterdeep before I shut up here, and that is the box. Now, people talked about this a lot when it came out. It's got this fancy insert. So you see here, everything's got a little place. I'll take the player references off here so you can see. Everything's got its perfect spot. Beautiful vacuum formed insert. Well, there's a huge problem with this because the box lid is also fancy. The bottom of the box is here. There's a middle filler piece here. So when the box lid comes on, it only comes down to about here. So for the love of God, do not store Lords of Waterdeep vertically, or all this fancy stuff is going to wiggle, because all you need is a little bit of separation with the box lid here when it tilts forward. All this stuff is going to come cascading down. You will have a goddamn mess waiting for you at the bottom of the box when you go to finally break out Lords of Waterdeep. Real good way to introduce people to Eurogaming is by making them sort out your bits for 5 minutes before you actually get it out to the table. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll stop and pause for 1 second and say there is an additional reason why I kept this that I was about to forget. There's an expansion, Scoundrels of Skullport. It's 2 expansions in 1 box. Another reason why I've kept Lords of Waterdeep is I wound up buying the expansion. Not something I typically do, because I've played Waterdeep so much, I felt I was ready to move on. But then I stopped getting it to the table so often, and I never really got to experience the expansion. I played each version of it once. I want to do that a lot more. So another reason why I'm keeping Lords of Waterdeep is I want to get the full experience of the expansion, which I heard good things about, but I haven't really played enough to give it a proper judgment myself. Alright, now we are done. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you around. Have fun.